Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DABCC TV. I'm quite excited to have the guys from ObserveIT with us, a gentleman named Gabriel Friedlander, and then the amazing Daniel Petri. And they're going to show us their solution. So I'm quite excited about this, and I won't get too ahead of myself or steal their thunder. So let's just dive directly into it, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. It's actually, we're recording this in the middle of the night my time, and then early in the morning their time. So thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
Hey, thank you. Okay, so first question before we get going into the demo, just real briefly tell everybody who you guys are, and what you do over at ObserveIT. Gabby?
Yes, hi. I'm the CTO of Observit and co-founder, and with me here is Daniel Petri. Maybe Daniel, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Daniel Petri. I'm an MVP for the past 5 years, working as a consultant and as a trainer for the past 11 years. I've started the www.petri.coil website, and that's what I do here is I'm responsible for the product map.
Very good, very good. And then for you guys who have never checked out Daniel's website, where have you been? But you've probably been there. You don't even know it. So he has amazing website. So definitely check that out. Phenomenal, in fact. So that being said, let's have one more question. That is, can you tell me about what you guys do? Well, what is the product that we're going to talk about today?
Okay. ObserveIT is a software-based solution that allows users to view with full video playback all activities performed on Windows servers and also on PCs. So any user activity now can be played back. So whether somebody logged in using terminal services, Citrix, and VNC, NetOP, basically any remote access to the servers can now be recorded in a 24/7 mode and can be visually played back for any session. And once we show you the product, you'll see how easy it is to navigate it between those sessions and figure out what's inside even prior to playing back the session. And that is actually one of the, differentiators and what makes our product, so good.
Well, very cool, very cool. So enough about all that. Let's dive directly into this. On with the demo.
Great. So we made available on our website a hosted demo. And I would like to show you how to log into that demo. So if you go to the downloads page, you can first of all download a 15-day trial version. But before downloading, you can check it out right without downloading. You just click to enter, and that will bring you to the hosted demo.
Perfect. And you guys also have a, you're going to show us the full-blown version with all the features, but you guys also have a free version too. Can you just talk real briefly about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the free version is basically based on the same production version, on the same full version, but it's limited to record only 5 servers. And in terms of playback, you have only 24 hours of playback, meaning that it will record all activity. But when you want to play back something, you can only go back 24 hours. But as you will see later, we have extensive metadata that is available even past 24 hours, which reveals all the activity performed by the users, even without playing back the videos.
Very cool, very cool. So everyone go ahead and download that. And then, of course, you're going to have to upgrade to the Pro version, but once they show it to you. So on with the demo.
Okay. So here we see on the first screen the server diary. The server diary is a journal of all user activity performed on a single server. So in this case, we're checking out what was performed on server named Master DC. Here we can see that we have per day, we have the user activity sessions recordings. So this is the one recording, this is the second recording, and so on. Before playing back the recording, you can expand the recording, and you can see very similar to DVD chapters, the activity within those recordings. So instead of, playing back each session from start till end and understand if it's relevant for what you're looking for. And of course, this is a very time-consuming process. Using our software, you can easily navigate and you can see the contents of each session and session. For example, in this session that I just expanded, you can see that the user went into local area connection. You can see that he ran an Active Directory command to add a user, and you can see Active Directory activities and so on. So now what we can do, we can, for example, play back the session from any point in time. So let's see what was performed within the local area connection status. We're opening the video browser.
What browsers can this run on? Can I run this from my Mac also?
Currently, we support Firefox and Internet Explorer.
Perfect.
So any operating system that supports these browsers will work. Perfect. And of course, you don't need any codec. So that is something that, you know, is easily viewable from any computer without downloading any client application.
Very cool.
So as you can see here, once we located what we're looking for, and for example, we wanted to investigate a little bit more the network connection chapter, we just open it from that point in time, and you can see the recording is starting to play back. As you can see, the default is grayscale. That is in order to reduce the size of the recordings. And we also capture only user activity. What this means is that if somebody is, for example, thinking, reading, you know, all that idle time, that is trimmed. We don't record that. So eventually you will record about 10% of an actual session, which, and one of our customers reported to us that 1,000 servers that he's recording generated for him about 100 gigabytes of data per year. And one of the reasons is because we don't record idle time. We really trim it only to the user activity. Our focus is on recording what people are doing. If we continue, we can see, for example, another report that answers what happened on the server and only then who did it. So, for example, here we can see that per day we have the list of applications, and then we can expand an application and see exactly what was performed inside. So we can see here, for example, Microsoft Management Console and all activity related to that.
Very neat. I noticed there you have deleting. Can you delete individual segments then?
You cannot delete from within the web console activity because the nature of our software is an audit software. We provide SQL scripts for administrators if they wish to delete or archive information. This is an enterprise product, therefore we don't provide the deleting from the web console because of the nature of the software. But administrators and DBAs that get hold of those scripts that we provide can easily maintain the database and shrink it and delete information.
So it's more compliant that way. Absolutely.
We can also do free text search. So, for example, if I want to check all activity concerning SQL, I can just type SQL. It will run through all recordings, and it will display to me all activities that are related to that key phrase. So, for example, we can see here access to the Microsoft SQL Server directory. We can see here a user that opened SQL Express. And then we can expand the session, see the context of why this activity was performed. So this is the session. We can see exactly what happened prior to accessing that application and after. And of course, we can play back the session from any point in time. So as you can see, using Observit is not about playing back sessions to find what you're looking for. It's about generating reports. It's about searching for specific events and then only playing video snippets of what you found instead of playing back the session from start till end.
Cool. Now, what does it take? We're looking at the demo now, and obviously this is already installed. What does it take to install it? What does the architecture look like from an do we need a server? And then, of course, do we install something on each individual server? How does that work?
Well, our architecture is pretty simple. What we need is an agent on each monitored server. This agent is a simple and easy to install application. It will just a double click, and it will run on any Windows version from NT4 till Windows 2008 and Windows 7. It will also run on 64-bit as well as 32-bit operating systems.
Perfect.
The agent itself does not open any ports, doesn't listen to any ports. It just transmits the data to our application server, which is one server that collects all the information from all the monitored servers. And this application server is a web-based application. It requires IIS and .NET Framework, and it just sits on top of IIS. It can be installed on Windows 2003 and 2008. This application server receives all the data from the agents and then stores everything inside a central SQL server, which can be on the same machine or on a separate dedicated machine. The entire installation process from start to end takes less than 10 minutes because even the server-side components are very easy to install. It's just a double click, provide the license file, and just let it run. It doesn't require any reboots, so actually the first screens that you see is the end of the installation itself because the recording has already started.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now I see on the screen here that you have a configuration tab. Is there some basic configuration required?
Absolutely. So we provide, for example, configuration for adding new users to allow them access to the web console. These users can be defined that they are allowed to play back only certain sessions. So, for example, you don't need to allow anybody that has access to the web console to play back any session. You know, it's one thing recording those sessions, and it solves the security and compliance, issues. But then you have a central repository that has all those recordings, and you want to make sure that they are accessed only by valid users. So what you can do, for example, if you have a database administrator in your company and you want to have him log into the web console and play back sessions of the SQL servers, you can easily do that. You can define which servers is allowed to play back sessions, meaning that he can play back, for example, sessions only of the SQL servers. Anything else will not be visible to him. Additionally, anytime somebody plays back a session, we also have internal audits. So here we can see our activity. This is our IP. We can see basically what we're currently doing. So because this is a hosted demo, you can see that currently there's also somebody else online, and you can see that they're also, doing stuff, and we can see exactly which sessions they are playing back. In terms of what you can configure on a server, you can configure things such as you can configure a recording notification to allow the user to know, to be notified that he's being recorded. That will be a bar that is displayed on top of the screen saying that, hey, you're being recorded. We also have offline policy, meaning that if the server has been taken offline, the recording will continue to be cached on the local server, and once it's back online, it will push the data to the database. You can record only selected users. You don't have to record everyone, but you can record also certain applications. You can also exclude applications from being recorded. So we have very granular recording policy. And one more interesting feature is that you can also have metadata recording only. That means that if we go back to the server diary and we look at one of the recordings, you can see that, take something else that has a little bit more slides inside. So for example, we can set recordings to metadata only, meaning that you will not have the video, but you can still see the metadata for that session. So for example, we can see that a new GPO was created by the user named Noam, but we will not have the video playback for that. So, and the business case behind it is usually around workstations. So if you have the ability, for example, to define that you wish to record In video, only the CRM application, just as an example, but everything else you want to be recorded as metadata. So what you will achieve is, first of all, lower storage requirements. In terms of privacy, you will see that people, for example, are logging into Messenger and other, private data they're accessing using applications such as, Outlook and so on. But you will not see the video of what they're doing. You will see the access to the application, to the screens, but not the content inside. But the CRM application will be fully recorded. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I noticed you had SMTP addressing in there, or configuration there. So you're sending some reports back to administrators and things of that nature. What type of reports can you send? Can you set like a policy to say, hey, if this application is run, email me because I want to know it, things of that nature?
Absolutely. So you can generate reports and have them scheduled to be sent to you via email, such as, give me a list of all users that logged in yesterday and what applications they accessed, or show me all users that accessed only the specific URL or specific screen with an application. So you can really generate,
Let me add on that. Besides generating reports, we can also integrate with the organization's existing third-party monitoring and management tools. What we do is we create a textual log file, which is generated daily, in which all the concurrent sessions are being represented as they happen. And if I have a third-party monitoring tool, I can create a simple textual log parser that will feed on that textual log file, and I can configure it to display a custom alert anytime that a specific word appears. For example, registry editor or remote desktop connection to this or that IP address and so on. And this will utilize the organization's existing monitoring tools and allow me to receive real-time alerts on what users are doing if they're doing something that interests me.
Very cool, very cool. So this is really much more than just session recording. It's session recording in the with the metadata also. It's not just, or I guess it's not just screen recording.
Yeah, we sure integrate into the organization's monitoring tools and so on. But we also have a nice feature called identification services. And that is a feature that interests a lot of organizations that use servers in some sort of DMZ environment. These servers are usually not part of a domain. And if they need to allow vendor and third-party remote access to these servers, what happens is that they have to give these remote access users local administrator permissions. And in many cases, the person that logs onto these servers is the administrator. And as you can see from the screen, we can see that it was an administrator that logged in. But if there are a lot of administrators, we do not know exactly who used that username. So what we do is we enable what we call identification services, and we configure it to work against an LDAP target, meaning a domain controller, which doesn't have to be in the DMZ. It can be, it doesn't have to. And what happens is whenever a user logs on to Windows as an administrator or whatever I configure, they will be prompted to enter their secondary identification information, which can be used from, an existing OU inside Active Directory. And this, if you can just expand the session and just start replaying it, you will see how it looks like, because once the user logs in, they will be prompted to enter their Observit identification. And that way we know that it was an administrator called Noam in this case. As you can see from this, he missed the password, so he was prompted again. And once he got the password right, he can gain access to the desktop.
So if I would like to add to that, basically this can be configured manually per specific users, meaning all those, generic usernames such as administrator or service names like NT Backup, those users don't point to a specific person. So what you do, you define them inside the configuration, and once somebody uses that generic username, he will be prompted with our secondary login prompt. And that is only for those users. Users that will use their regular username will not be prompted with that secondary factor authentication. By that way, you will see that all those generic usernames now have the real user attributed to them. So now you can know that it's actually Noam who created this session and not just administrator.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, up on one of the tabs we have not looked at yet is called training. Can you talk a bit about what's behind that?
Well, training, basically what it does is it allows you to take existing sessions, trim them a little bit, delete slides, and make a training of the activity within the session. So, for example, if you had a DBA installed a SQL Server for you, then what you can do, you can go back to the session that includes the installation of SQL Server, and you can trim it only to the SQL Server wizard, setup. And that way, you can create a training section that holds videos of how to do things. This allows you to share with your staff or with, new administrators how to do things. And it's basically a way of sharing knowledge based on what you already did. So instead of scheduling, a training with how to set up a SQL Server, you can really go back, take an existing activity, and make from it a session.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, what else would you guys like to show us?
I think the report section is also something nice. You can generate reports such as, here you have a list of applications. This list is dynamically built, meaning that whenever somebody opens an application in a server that has an Observit agent, it will be listed here. So even custom-built applications, things that were developed internally, will be listed here. Not only the applications that are listed in the add and remove program files. And then you can, for example, generate a report of, in this example, show me all activity related to Office Outlook across all servers. And then I can get a list. Here there are only 2 sessions. But here, for example, we can see the Outlook setup. And then we can play it back.
Very cool.
I think all in all, it's very simple to install. It's intuitive to use. The traditional way to troubleshoot things is navigate logs, trying to understand what happened. Using our software, even somebody who is not an expert can very quickly gain insight to what happened, to the root cause, of a problem. But the other thing is that, and I would say the main business driver behind what's selling our software today is that many companies are open to remote access of vendors, outsource providers, offshoring teams, and they have set up VPN SSL, they have set up token exchange, but usually they don't have any clue to what's going on once those people are logging in. And many times those users are even non-employees. So you really need to know what they're doing. If you're a security officer and if you're a compliance officer, that's a must, in terms of regulation, specifically PCI and SOX, HIPAA, and so on.
Now, you've talked about regulations like, SOX and HIPAA and things of that nature. What's the law around this? Can we just go ahead and record our users at will?
Well, absolutely. So in terms of privacy, you really need to let the person know that, first of all, it's being recorded. So that is something that we provide, a notification bar that says, hey, you're being recorded. The second thing is that you're not allowed to record, public area. However, server access, when somebody logs into a server, that's no public area. That's private stuff. And it's the other way around. Actually, you're not allowed to record things that are private of, the person's privacy. But when you go to a server, he should not open Messenger in there. He should not check his emails from a server. So that's not any privacy. There's no privacy issues around that. And in terms of compliance, actually the compliance talks about linking activities to people. That's the whole idea behind regulation, linking an action to a person. So if something happened, you want to know who did it. And actually our software does it best because it focuses on the person rather than on the computer.
Absolutely. Well put. Well put. Okay. Well, I'm very, very impressed, and I hope everyone out there is quite blown away as I am. Before we call the show, is there anything we're missing?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to add a few words about remote applications and features that we find inside Windows 2008 and in 2008 R2. Once we set up remote app by using terminal server in Windows 2008, the user can actually double click on an icon and get whatever applications that we published. And Observit works with that as well, because what we do is we record the terminal server, and in fact, if we view that recording, we'll just see the only application that the user has accessed. And if that application is published on a server, such as, for example, remote management tools that are being published in order to allow for do their work on your machines, then we can easily demonstrate what these users did by, recording their own applications. And this is something that we can easily do. This works as well with Citrix as well as Terminal Server.
Okay. Again, I'm very blown away. This is very verbose, and I'm quite impressed. So if somebody out there is listening, they're like, "Well, Doug, I totally agree with you." What do they need to do to learn more?
So we have on our website, and also Daniel was also responsible for creating our knowledge base. We have a very big knowledge base section with FAQ, getting started, how-to articles, and technical documents such as, for example, creating security alerts of abnormal user actions using Microsoft System Center. That's a very, that's a very nice article showing, what Daniel described before, how to create user alerts, and about the 2008 new features. So all of this is on our website, and we also have a live demo that I just showed you. We have on our homepage a 3.5-minute video that shows you, a very short video of how our software works. And of course, you can either download our evaluation or have a go with the free product that is limited to showing only 24 hours of recordings. But if you remember the metadata, that is also available past 24 hours, meaning the metadata will still be available. So if you have those sessions that go back more than 24 hours, you can still see what the user did. You won't have the video playback for that, but you can still see that he went to share folders. You can see that he created a new GPO. You can see, all those activities. And that is, that is very powerful even without the video recording.
Okay, guys. Well, I really appreciate your time. And I will ask you one more time, I guess. Is there anything else that we're leaving out?
Maybe one last thing that I would like to share with you,
please.
And then we'll wrap it up. What we see today that many it's an architecture solution that we see that many customers are coming to us today is instead of recording the target service, what they do, they set up a gateway server. So and they direct it, and that is regarding recording only vendors. So instead of, outside providers and vendors, people who are coming from outside the company, so they route all those users through a single terminal or 2 terminal servers, and from there, the vendors have or management tools to manage the target servers, or they're using secondary RDP to access the target servers. Using this technique, you can record only 2 servers, those terminal servers, and by that, you can have full recording of all your remote access from outside the company without the need to install anything on the target servers. So that is starting to be very common.
Very cool. Now, do you have that all documented in that nice little list of docs that you showed us?
Yes, absolutely. So we have that as well. We call it, VPN SSL gateway session. So that is a very common, and we have here the architecture explaining, what I just described.
Very cool, very cool. So it's very thorough is probably a really simple way of describing your product and in the whole site and everything.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. I'm quite impressed, guys. Kudos.
Time and, documenting and creating this knowledge base.
Very good. Daniel, you've done a good job. You too.
Thank you. Actually, regarding my website, I must tell you guys that in order to download the Express version, the free version, you need to go through my website. If you can maybe open it on the screen, I'll show you, because that's an exclusive offer just available for people coming from my website. You will not see the download link from the Observit website. Go down to the downloads. That's it. Free remote desktop. If you see that link, don't highlight. If you see that link, then just click on that, and you'll be pointed to the download page of the Express Edition.
Perfect. And we'll send a link over on, if you guys are watching this on the site, just go to just below the video, and there'll be a link down there over to this page right here. Sound good?
That's right. That's great.
Perfect. Okay, guys, thank you again very much. I've quite enjoyed it, and I hope everyone out there has enjoyed it also.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you very much, Doug.
Okay, so we'll just go ahead and wind this up.